What's cracking, peeps? T-Money here reporting for Body Bags. The week is 2/23, I believe. And it's just kind of a free-for-all week, no theme. So the movie that I chose is a newer slasher film, a newer futuristic slasher film from 2017 by the name of Spaceship Terror. And the first time I heard about this movie was on Mr. Parka's weekly update, where he discussed it and reviewed it. And I guess what stood out to me the most about the film was his description of how badass the killer was. And so before I get into that, I'll just start by saying the film's from 2017. This is an SGL Entertainment release. It is written, directed, produced, I think by multiple people, but by Harry Chinsky, and it stars Kristen Springer, Jay Wesley, Cochran, Lacey Blair, Stephen Lestat, Rhonda Olszewski, and some other indie actors or primarily actresses that I've never heard of before, But yeah, I'll read you guys a synopsis from the back. Open your mind to a horrifying world of cat and mouse as 5 women and 1 injured man find terror beyond their wildest nightmares. Marooned on a deserted planet and picked up by an old derelict spaceship, 6 unwitting travelers find themselves enslaved in a torture-filled bloodlust that will take you on a white-knuckle ride into hell. Feel the terror and ride along if you dare as they slowly fall victim to the horrific appetite of a deranged killer sporting an insane bloodlust unmatched in an unforgiving universe. So, let's talk about what I liked about the film. So, first and foremost, the killer was very badass. He's just like this menacing beast of a man covered in blood, and he almost kind of reminded me of the dude from Human Centipede Part 2 in his looks, except they totally put a magnifying glass on his rugged exterior. Like his eyes are bloodshot and wide open, and when you see him, it's just like this. They focused, I feel so much on making him look hulking, menacing, like this horrific beast of a man. And I think they did a great job with that. And so it really shined as it was probably the strongest part of the movie. The acting was so-so. I think it was good in certain characters. Certain characters were better and stronger than others, that's for sure. There's one woman, when they're on the spaceship, there's a lone survivor from previous years or whatever on the ship. Because basically what it's about is this psychotic, deranged serial killer basically mans his own spaceship, traveling who knows where in space, and he's essentially kidnaps women and plays cat and mouse, because there's not really any men, and the few men that there are killed off instantly. So right from the get-go that this killer is specifically interested in torturing women. So where was I? So the acting was decent. Oh, so the woman, when they first get to the spaceship, they find this lone survivor, this woman who's hungry and tired and who's been playing cat and mouse with this deranged killer for what we find out to be years. Her acting was not very strong, to say the least. But you can get past these things I can, at least, when I'm watching, going into an indie filmmaking effort. And I think this budget was really small. It was a micro budget film, I believe. As far as, so the acting was so-so, I'll give it a pass. The kills were pretty decent. The kills that involved practical effects were really good, or not really good, but decent. The kills that involved CGI and it was some of the worst CGI I've ever seen. There's these arrows, because it takes place in the future, so a lot of the traps on the spaceship are these futuristic machinery type things, and it's it's really bad. That was probably, for me, the hardest thing to get past in this film was how awful the, like, digitally enhanced special effects were in this film. They are really bad. So just know that, I guess, before anything. They're really not good. But the practical effects are decent. Unfortunately, I think there are more of those than there are, like, kills involving digital effects. But it's all kind of interwoven into one because, again, it is a futuristic film, so I feel like they could use that as a crutch. The fact that, you know, digital technology, future, whatever, we're going to do this. But they did use some practical effects, but the killer is just so badass, and he's always carrying, like, a like a mutated head. Like, he likes to chop the heads off of or mutate the bodies of all the women when all is said and done. And he, like, half the scenes in the film you see him, like, carrying around, like, the head of the last victim that he beheaded and mutated. And that was pretty badass. It added to his whole, like, menacing aura, I guess. But basically, the film kind of fuses torture porn with the slasher subgenre. It's definitely a slasher film, a futuristic spaceship slasher film. And I guess that's one of the reasons why I was initially interested in watching the film also, is just because it sounded cool. Dude, yeah, I want to watch some badass hulking beast mutilate women on a spaceship. Fuck yeah. I mean, who doesn't love that shit if you're a fan of slashers? So yeah, I mean, I guess overall the acting, like I said, I'd give it a pass. The main character, the effects on the main character, the killer, rather, were great. Digital effects were not very good. The music was good, or the score, rather, I should say. It was pretty good. I think it was more of like a, you know, like a musical score than it was like a soundtrack. I'm trying to think of what else really there is to talk about. The kills were... I'm trying to, like, think of the kills. I guess nothing really stands out to me aside from the fact that the killer himself is always, like, carrying around, like, a fucking chopped up head, which was pretty nasty. Sorry, I have the film going on the side, so I'm getting distracted. I gotta stop. But, yeah, I mean, I'd give it a watch if you guys are interested. If you guys love slasher films and you want to see something new. If anything, I'd say, like I said multiple times now in this review, watch the film for the killer. Because if you're like me, you love watching slasher films for... Like, the killer is one of the main... Like, the killer, the kills... Story is kind of secondary to me in a slasher film, but not really. But, I mean... As long as the killer's good and there's badass kills going into knowing that you're going into a slasher film, I shouldn't say the story is secondary because I love, like, the setting of slashers. I think that's an equally as important part. And then in this film, I would say, like, so I said that the digital effects were bad, but the actual, like, maze, I guess, that is the spaceship, isn't nearly as bad. I mean, it's they did an okay job creating the illusion that you're actually on a spaceship, I would say. Like, all the corridors and stuff they go down, it works. So yeah, guys, that's it. I'm going to wrap this up. So I would give it a pass. I would watch it. I think it's the type of movie that you have to buy, unfortunately, because it's so low budget and small time that I don't think it's available. Like, definitely not a Redbox film, or, yeah, I don't think it's on Amazon or anything like that either. But yeah, if you're interested, hit me up and I can get you the links to make a purchase. Again, I'm happy that I own this. I think it was worth a buy because I love slasher films. So I'd say if you're a fan of the slasher film genre, you have to be in order to appreciate this. Check it out. All right, guys, thanks. That's my review for Spaceship Terror. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Peace.